Now, there's no doubt about it that by far the two most anticipated Star Wars TV shows of next year are, of course, the Ahsoka series and The Mandalorian Season 3 for multiple reasons out there. Number one, of course, is the fact that both of which are going to explore new details about the Jedi and the Force, and number two, of course, has a lot to do with the fact that both Mando 3 and Ahsoka are going to have some pretty wild cameos that will be introduced by Favreau and Lucas, as well as Filoni. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way, guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing about the new Star Wars universe is that there are a lot of things happening between Favreau, Filoni, and Lucas at the same exact time, given that they are working on over a dozen Star Wars projects, and also the fact that Favreau now has a lot of creative power behind the scenes over at LUCASFILM. There's a lot of developments happening recently, and they really are on the path to bringing Star Wars to the light at the end of the tunnel here. Now, with that being said, Kathleen Kennedy is still 100% in control of the Skeleton Crew TV show, as well as the Acolyte series, partially speaking, of course. So, with that being said, this brings us to, of course, what Disney executives are recently, of course, and currently going through with Kathleen Kennedy and one of the Star Wars writers related to the Star Wars franchise as we speak. So given that we have D23 and Disney Plus Day just around the corner, we have new announcements on the horizon, Celebration of next year is going to be an even bigger event for announcements, so that's another thing to look forward to as well. However, when it all comes down to all of what the Disney executives are going through, with of course them now focusing on George Lucas's vision to become a reality with the new Star Wars TV shows, starting with Tales of the Jedi and The Bad Batch 2, before the real phase starts in 2023, they have also been running into a bit of trouble with one of the Star Wars writers that has been giving Disney a hard time with one of the upcoming Star Wars shows. Now, this is said to be writer Leslye Headland that is causing more trouble with the Acolyte TV show, where she is getting ready to write one of the episodes that Kathleen Kennedy has creative control over, that is set to involve a complete retelling of the beginning of the Jedi Order and how it all started. Now, the beginning of the Jedi Order is described to be done in such a controversial way by Leslye Headland that executives, of course, are now stepping in, trying to convince Leslye Headland to actually detach the flashback scene from the Acolyte series that they know is going to cause a lot of fan backlash. Even Favreau and Filoni are very well aware about this, of Leslie's plans to completely change the background of the beginning of the Jedi Order to make it her own. Leslye is described to not only, of course, be rewriting some of George Lucas's philosophy from Star Wars Legends, but also the canon, but also creating her own history of how the Jedi all started and began, and it's something that Disney is trying their best to prevent. Executives have already warned Leslye Headland that if she goes through with all of this, that they have no intentions of hiring her ever again for any future Star Wars shows and or projects in general. If something, of course, is to be done, is that Kathleen Kennedy is also trying to keep intact, as this is something that she wants Leslye Headland to do in the Acolyte series. So let me just stop here quick for a second. Now, I don't know if you guys knew this, but the Acolyte show is going to be a series full of flashbacks, as well as a story that's going to be based in present time. So it's going to be centered around dark side characters. Now, as you all know, the first episode is all driven by Kathleen Kennedy and Leslye. They're setting up the series. Favreau and Lucas have some control over 5 episodes total. Alright, they have complete control over those episodes, but not the entire show. So this thing that Leslye Headland is creating for the Acolyte series sounds like it's going to be quite a mess, because executives are trying to put an end to it. They're warning her that if she goes through with this, they're gonna kick her out of Star Wars forever and not allow her to ever come back. And it really does worry me, and I think it worries a lot of fans out there, because we could very well have another Last Jedi situation on our hands with the Acolyte series. I mean, given that, of course, you know, Kathleen Kennedy wants this to happen, and the fact that she wants Leslye Headland to create the beginning of the Jedi of her own, and really creating her own history of the Star Wars universe, and how that's going to really create a lot of problems down the road, Disney's really afraid about this show for these many reasons. So, diving into this further. Now, Leslye is described to not care about Disney's ultimatums of never hiring her again if she goes through with these plans, and also, Kathleen Kennedy is getting ultimatums too from Disney that are currently in the talks between different executives. So to make things more clear, guys, I don't know if you guys knew this as well, but the Acolyte series is going to be one of the first Star Wars TV shows in a very long time, by the way, to really take advantage of on-location shooting. Alright, a lot of location scouts have been going out to areas over in Ireland and areas over in that whole northern area of Europe as well. There's a lot of things happening with the Acolyte series. They want to make sure that it's not going to be all done in studio, that they want to make it all on location. So, this major flashback scene is said to be very controversial to the point where Favreau and Filoni are planning on a way to reverse or retcon this scene already in the Acolyte show. Kathleen Kennedy is also looking to get Rian Johnson to direct this episode that involves the flashback-related scene to the beginning of the Jedi Order, something that Disney also does not want to happen with the Star Wars universe, as they know that would only drive more fans away from the Star Wars franchise. Now, this flashback scene is said to involve 3 characters that will be a part of the origin of the Jedi, and how it's going to involve something to do with the Wills, while also breaking away from George Lucas's philosophy of Star Wars and what it stands for. So, that's another thing, is that this flashback scene is going to completely disrespect George Lucas's philosophy of Star Wars, and that's one thing that I think a lot of fans are worried about. The fact that we have somebody like Leslye Headland coming in here and labeling the beginning of the Jedi as her own, and her own creation. And the fact that it's so controversial to the point that Favreau and Filoni have to step in and really give it their own take. They have to create a plan to retcon or reverse whatever Leslye Headland is doing. So that speaks a lot, that tells us a lot of what's going on behind the scenes between the executives, Leslye Headland, Kathleen Kennedy, and more. I think that at the end of the day, they really have to work things out. You know, I don't really see this series performing that well if it's going to be full of controversy, or if it's going to be a show that's going to spark a lot of backlash. You don't want anything like that. I think that the fans are smart enough to know that this series in and of itself is not enough to break the actual momentum that John and Dave are trying to actually create, but it will most certainly create a little bit of a speed bump in the Star Wars franchise. It will, you know, because there's going to be a lot of fans out there that might lose motivation or interest in the franchise just based on this one show alone. So, overall, I would love to hear what you guys have to say about this, because, number one, I mean, I don't know why Leslye Headland has this ego to do what she wants to do with the beginning of the Jedi Order, and to completely disrespect and disregard George Lucas's philosophy of Star Wars. So overall, guys, you know, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon